Hello, everybody, and welcome to OpenExO Live. Really great to be with you on a Friday this week. A little bit different. We usually are on a Thursday. And this week we have Luisa Mendoza with us coming in from New York. And you can see there's some amazing people coming up in the next couple of weeks. If you are in the OpenExO community and watching this, we want you on OpenExO Live. So you can head over to the marketplace and you can apply right there to be on the show. It is about sharing your EXO journey, your journey, and we really love speaking to new people and hearing how EXO has affected you and how you're leveraging it. So many people doing that in so many different ways. And so before we get Luisa up on screen, I do have a few messages that come from some community members. And the first one's from Paula, and she said, Luisa is like a hurricane. 5 seconds with her are more than enough to feel that she can move mountains. She is courageous. She is determined. She has contagious optimism and happiness. She is a team player and an extraordinary leader at the same time. In brief, she shines. She is indeed one of the brightest people I have ever met in my life. I feel very grateful to have that our paths crossed. Next comes from Lars. Luisa is certainly demonstrating the powers of her MTP, which is to inspire and guide the transformation of humanity through the power of gratitude and manifestation. In her work with student interns at Boston EXO and through other world-improving work she does for the future generations. We then have from Anne, Luisa is an all-round amazing human with great energy and drive. From her daily gratitude clubhouse rooms that gather thousands of followers to appreciate life, to her passion for sports, New York City, and personal development education, Luisa is a vibrant personality with a big heart. She is definitely a leader who will continue to move to great heights and positively impact people along the way. And then lastly, from Eric, when I met Luisa in 2020, who knew we would end up not only surviving a hard bout of COVID, but being one of the first core members to join Boston EXO. Her can-do attitude, positivity and passion resulted in one of the best performing student teams during our inaugural summer 2020 EXO internship. Luisa's contribution during the Regen 365 alumni calls are both transparent and heartfelt, most notably her story about helping her mother fully recover from a life-threatening illness. An exponential individual herself, she is very positive, forceful, yet humble, and even more amazing in person. So with that, I want to welcome up Luisa. Luisa, how are you doing? It's still morning for you this morning.
Kevin, good morning, and hello, everyone tuning in. Thank you so much for such a beautiful introduction, and thank you to everyone who just gave such beautiful comments. I was really touched by that, so thank you, everyone. And thank you, Kevin, for the space and the opportunity to be here. I just got back last night from Orlando attending a conference where I had over 150 meetings, and that's why I apologize if my voice is a little harsh this morning, but my heart is here and I am ready to rock and roll with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. With that it's that grunge voice, that soul voice, really. You sound like we could be in a jazz club.
Love it.
So that's really awesome. And I always start out by asking you to just give a bit of background about yourself. Tell us, a little bit about Luisa and how you came to actually join the OpenExO community.
Absolutely. So, Luisa, in a nutshell, I am conceived a fighter. My mother was told for 10 years that she would never be able to have a child. This doctor like sat there, drew her a diagram, showed her how scientifically it was impossible for her to conceive a baby. And the same doctor that said no to her was the doctor who delivered me. And so I think that's what sets my path, and it sets my mindset of where there's a will, there's a way, and anything is possible. And so fast forward. I've had the privilege and the blessing, and I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity at a very young age to go into the tourism industry through a high school program called the Academy of Hospitality and Tourism. I fell in love with the industry. I was in the tourism industry for 20 years, was then recruited by the Brooklyn Nets, and I had the opportunity to go work for the NBA. And I saw that there was a huge gap between sports and tourism. And I launched my company, GTSC, Global Tourism, Sports and Entertainment, January of 2020. Yes. No one could have prepared me for what was to come in March. But this all has been such a huge learning path. It's a book in the making. You can't make this up, everything that we've gone through. But as Steve Jobs used to say, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. And when I look now, even though we're just coming out of the pandemic, if it wasn't for the pandemic, I would have never met Eric. I would have never had the opportunity to engage with the EXO community and have an opportunity to become Boston EXO's chief business officer and do something in a summer where so many students needed us. So it's a fun journey. It's a crazy journey. When people ask me, "How are you, Luisa?" I'm like, my knees hurt. I've been on my knees for too long, praying that we can start seeing the fruits of our labor. But I'm excited and I'm thrilled because the bigger the test, the bigger the testimony.
Awesome. That's yeah. And so Lars mentioned your MTP in his comment, but do you want to tell us a little bit more about that, about how you've come up with that MTP?
Absolutely. So I'll read it again so it's clear, and then I'll dive into it. So my MTP is to inspire and guide the transformation of humanity through the power of gratitude and manifestation. And an MTP, for those of you hearing it for the very first time, an MTP is like, what's your massive transformative purpose? Something that is attainable, but it's bigger than you. It's bigger than why. It's almost like, what's your why in this world? And when I look at my why and I look at the journey that I've been through, there are two words that just defines everything of who I am and what I do. And that is gratitude and manifestation. And especially in the last 2.5 years, this has come into play tremendously. I say humanity because it starts with my family. My mom and my father have been my why. My parents left Colombia when I was 4 years old, and they moved to the United States so that could have a chance at the American dream. So my parents were the first why in my life. I knew that succeeding was the only option I had, because when I saw my mother and my father go from having, executive career jobs in Colombia, and my father being a promotion away from becoming the president at the bank where he worked, to moving to the United States and having to clean houses for a living, I realized my parents had sacrificed everything. And I made a promise to my parents and to myself at about the age of 8 or 9 that I would then one day retire them and give them the American retirement. And that's where it all started for me. Of It wasn't about me. It was about taking care of my family, taking care of others. And now that why has expanded into my daughter. My daughter is my third huge why. And she is, I am so blessed to call her my daughter, because although she's only 13, at the age of 10, she shaved her head to donate her hair to kids with cancer. And that all stemmed from a conversation that we had when she said, "Mom, your life is perfect." and my life is very difficult and you'll never understand. And I said, whoa, what am I missing here? And she goes, you'll never understand because you and daddy are divorced. And you have your parents that are still together. And I said, no, baby, we have to be grateful because you still have your mom and your dad who are alive. You have your mom and your dad who are Team Ariana. Everything we do it for you. And we went on this gratitude exercise where I said, I want you to list everything that you're grateful for. And she started listing, I'm grateful that I can walk, that I can talk, that I can see, etc. And the list just went on. So we went from a 10-year-old child who thought her life was so hard to, no, mom, you're so right. I have so much to be grateful for. And the kids that have it really hard are those that are battling cancer and are losing their hair and are fighting with their image. And so I said to her, shaving your head is a big decision. That's not a decision you make overnight. I said, if in a month from now you still want to shave your head, we will go and do it. But you got to think about it for a whole month. I got a call a month later, and her school said, Luisa, your daughter came into the office, to the psychologist office, and said she wants to shave her head tomorrow. And she doesn't want to be bullied on Monday. So she asked me to go to her classroom and to explain to the kids what she was going to do tomorrow so that on Monday there wouldn't be like that shock. On the contrary, everybody would be like expecting it. And when I got the call, I knew she was ready because she had thought 3 steps forward to go into orchestrate this whole thing for her class.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized that gratitude is truly something that can change our minds. And as Anne shared in her beautiful comments about me, thank you, Anne. A year ago, I had the opportunity to start with Garth Sanderford from the Get Up and Grow community in Clubhouse, a room that's called Daily Gratitude. What are you grateful for? And so we've seen so many transformations, and really, gratitude is. It's scientifically proven that it reduces our stress, it makes us happier, it improves relationships, it lowers your blood pressure, it helps you sleep better. I want you to, next time that any of you are feeling anxious or you can't sleep at night, just start saying what are you grateful for, and immediately you just cannot be grateful and anxious at the same time. It's like water and oil, they just don't go together. So that's the gratitude part of my MTP that I have seen just so many miracles from that. And the second part is manifestation, because I do believe that we can manifest anything. Uh, Everything that I have manifested, I've always believed in having a vision board. I used to live in Florida, and my dream was to move to New York. And I used to have a big picture of New York, not that big, but I did have a picture of New York in my vision board. And I just saw myself here. But I have to say that within the last few months, I heard the most amazing thing about manifestation, miracle manifestation. Why is it that some people are able to manifest, and why is it that some people are not able to manifest? And this woman said the most amazing thing. She said, manifesting is about being in peace with the universe. It's about being in alliance and just receiving. And it's almost like when you want something so bad, it kind of, the best analogy that my love and when we were talking about it, he said, honey, it's like when you're in the pool and you want the ball and you go after the ball and the ball just goes further away. But when you stand still, the ball, it's happened to so many of us, and I see you shaking your head, it just, next thing you know, it taps you. So when we can be in a state of not wanting and being anxious, because then that pushes it, but we just receive. We're in the state of, I receive what the universe has for me. Whatever your God is, the universe, whatever your source of a higher being might be, when you can say, what the desires of my heart are, and I am here ready to receive, that is when the power of gratitude and manifestation plays such an impact, because you got to be grateful for what you currently have in order to manifest more, right? It's like, think of all of us that are parents. If we give our child a ball and they're grateful for it, the next time you're going to want to get them a ball and a bat, right? But if you give them a ball and they just put it away and never play with it and they're not grateful for it, as a parent, you're going to be like, well, they didn't really like that. So you're not
Mm.
really as encouraged to go get them another gift. So I believe we have to be grateful for what we have in order to be able to receive and manifest more things. And that's my mission. I want to share that with the world, that these are the two things that are changing my life every day. There's miracles happening, and it's because I'm living in those two spaces.
Absolutely. And that really, I guess brings a lot of my thought towards the fact that that's when you can then tap into the abundance of the universe, right? And at at the end of the day, we live in this world that's been driven by scarcity, and I mean that's the history. We have to see that history, and it's very hard for people to understand abundance and gratitude and manifestation, because there's a belief that we live in a world of scarcity, and so you know one of the elements around exponential thinking is this idea of abundance, of a world where we can tap into abundance, and often technologies can help us to do that, but often it can just be you know quietening yourself and realizing what the potential is out there. Now I wanted to ask you one particular question. That you've been in this industry of sports for a very long time. How has that been, as a woman working in an industry that's pretty male dominated? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. And just this past Sunday, I had the opportunity to have a meeting to talk about diversity and inclusion with Assistant Secretary to the United States, Mr. Grant Harris, Secretary Grant Harris. And we talked about this very specific topic of being a woman, a woman CEO in sports and tourism. Now, add being a woman, a Hispanic woman in sports and tourism. And so, as I shared with the assistant secretary, I said, as a startup, it's very difficult when you're a minority owned business. And having access to grants, having access to loans, it doesn't come very easy. But that's all right, because again, we're in the abundance mindset. We are manifesting that things are going to happen. And what I've learned is partnerships are crucial, and you have to see the key leaders as your allies. And when we can make key leaders our allies, then the story starts to change. And so the best example I can give you of that is in the midst of the whole pandemic. It goes with no say that the hardest hit industries were sports, tourism, and entertainment.
Mm.
And last year, when everything started to recover slowly, but we were going to have the first IPW, which is the largest tourism trade show in the United States, I called Malcolm Smith, the general manager for US Travel IPW's show. And I said, Malcolm, I think it goes with no say that these last few months, year has been extremely difficult, but I want to be there. I need to be at IPW. I need the world to know that I'm still alive, literally, because that's another story. But I got COVID right at the beginning of the pandemic and saw death in my face. Like there was one night that I couldn't even breathe. And I'm here. I'm ready. I'm going to give this everything that I have. How can I get to IPW? And he said, Luisa, you have everything that I need to make. He goes, how about one better? What if you become our first sports and tourism ambassador for the US Travel Association, IPW? And every time I talk about I get emotional because, as I shared with Assistant Secretary Grant Harris this Sunday, there's defining moments in her life that changed the entire trajectory.
Mm.
And for me, that those he was an angel in a business suit. Roger Dow believing me, that the president and CEO of the U.S. Travel Association, these men believing in me. And I think as minorities, as women, many times we look at uh, with all due respect and love, the white male in the room as the competition or the
Yeah.
person we need to be afraid of in the room. And I say, no, that's your ally. And I saw that because when I was in high school and I gave a presentation at the age of 18 of how a mentor could impact the life of a high school student with immigrant parents, that's when I realized that I needed these people to help me, and that I wasn't going to look at them as the threat, but I was going to look at them as my allies. And my first ally was Mark Gatley when he was the general manager of the Broward County Convention Center, and he took me under his wing. So I was very fortunate from a young age to not be intimidated by these men with power, but to
Mm.
say, if you've been given an opportunity to lead your organization, I am going to look at you with respect, and I am hoping that you will give someone that looks like me an opportunity. And of course, it all boils down to, you can give a great presentation, but then you got to deliver. And one thing is to be given the opportunity, which I'm grateful for, but then it's about results. And so I say, whatever opportunity is given to you, you don't give 100%. In this day and age, we got to give 1,000%. And I think that's one of the reasons why I love living in New York, because as they say, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. And this past week, being at IPW, to see for the first time the show have a sports activation zone, to see us have the MLB and all of these different teams that were there, from the Yankees to the Knicks to the Mets to the Orlando Magic, San Francisco Giants, the Padres, the Miami Marlins. I mean, we had all of these teams there. And for the first time, we were under one umbrella. And that's when I say, if God brings you to it, he will bring you through it, and you have to deliver. So has it been easy? No. But when you're excited and you love what you do, that's the passion. And when you know your why, right? So for me,
Yeah.
it's being a single mom, taking care of my mother, my father, and my little girl. I don't have an option. I have to succeed because they're counting on me. And so that's where I say, I guess, in a nutshell, look at the people in power as your allies. Don't be intimidated, and don't be afraid to ask, because if you ask, you shall receive. And the worst thing is that they'll say is no. But if you don't ask, the answer is no.
Yeah. I mean, 100%. And that's obviously an attitude that every entrepreneur needs to have, right? And so, you know, how would you say, your thinking around, entrepreneurship, having started something during the pandemic, then learning about a lot about EXO, what's that sort of, I guess, sort of piece of advice you'd give to someone who's thinking, hey, should I do this entrepreneurship thing?
Oh, that's such a great question. I would say for anyone that's looking to expand and to say, hey, I think I've come to a journey in my life to be an entrepreneur. If you A few things. One, make sure that the business you want to go into, it can't be something you like. It can't be something you love. It has to be something you're passionate about. Because when you become an entrepreneur, it's probably triple the work, if not more. There's no days off. You're connected 24/7. And that's saying, if you love what you do, you'll never work another day in your life. You have to make sure you love what you do, because it's going to demand so much of you. It's like a baby. It's literally a baby. It's, you have to feed it, you have to nourish it, you have to caress it, you have to give it your love, everything you have in you. It really is having a baby. I would say second, do case studies, understand, is there a gap, is there a need for what you're doing, how can you put yourself through a different light. Number three, surround yourself by people that have done it, people that believe in you, because there's a lot of people that do are not risk takers and are going to tell you, are you crazy? Like, why would you leave a six-figure job to start your own job and be not sure what, like, there's so much insecurities.
Yeah.
But when you surround yourself, whether it's me in the morning getting up and making sure the first thing I feed my mind is positive, whether it's Oprah Winfrey, whether it's Tony Robbins, I look at these people as my mentors and my heroes, and just really surround yourself. Like, I look at Eric from Patel from Boston EXO as someone who just, we pedal to the metal, like, yes, this is going to get done. Like, in the middle of a pandemic, we were just launching Boston EXO, and we were like, we need to do an internship. And within a month, we had an internship set up for kids from around the world, where so many kids had no internships. They were all canceled. And these students, like, I know the impact of an internship. So I said, we have to do this, right? So again, like, surrounding yourself with people that believe the impossible is possible. Because if you surround yourself by people that are nervous of taking risk, they, as they say, you are a reflection of the five people that you surround yourself with. So, if you feel it's a calling, if you feel, and do a business, do a business plan. And one of the best things that one of my mentors early on, when I decided that I wanted to launch GTSE, said to me, Julia Pimsleur from Million Dollar Women, she said, I shared with her that I wanted to start this company to bridge the gap between sports and tourism. She said, Luisa, two things. One, write your business plan, and I want to see it in a week. And I looked at her like, I have to go to Mexico for a sales mission, and I have all of these things. She says, if I give you a year, you'll take a year to write it. If I give you 10 years, you'll take 10 years to write it. If I give you a week, you'll get it done in a week. And the second thing she said to me, remember that perfection is the enemy of done. Sometimes we wait, especially as women, we want things to be perfect. But if we wait for perfection, it might never get done. So you go out there, you just put your business plan together, you look at your competition, if there is competition in your space. And these are some of the things that I've learned throughout the journey. But I think the most important thing is just surrounding yourself by the right people, people that believe in you, because there are days where you even question yourself, and you're like, man, is am I doing the right thing? And you go back and you hear these things, and it's like, okay, yes, we're moving forward.
Awesome. Well, Luisa, the time has run away, and we've come to the end. I do like to always end by asking the question, what is the one thing that you would like to share with people as we end our call today?
Oh, Kevin, thank you so much. It's been such a wonderful opportunity. And I guess there's so many things in my heart that I want to share with everybody, but I'm going to take it back to my MTP. And that is, be grateful, be in gratitude. Gratitude is the attitude that changes everything. And when you can learn to receive and be in peace with the universe and just be open to receiving, that's where the miracles come in. So my wish and my desire for everyone in this community is that through the power of gratitude and manifestation, may many miracles come upon all of you. And just remember, all things are possible for those who have the courage to follow their dreams.
Awesome. Luisa, so great chatting to you. I hope that you have a fantastic rest of the Friday, that your voice gets a good rest, perhaps, although I think that's tough for you, and also have a fantastic weekend. Wonderful
Thank
chatting to
you.
you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Take care, Kevin.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So great chatting to Luisa, and it really is so important for you to go out there and share that message with folks. It's been great here on OpenExO Live. We'll see you again next week, Thursday. And with that, we will end off with a message about the OpenExO community. So thanks so much, and see you again next week.